My daughter was acting strange, so I faked a trip and put a camera in her office. At 7 p.m., the concierge called me. Watch this now. What appeared on the screen almost made me fall off my chair. The betrayal hurt, but my response was even stronger. My name is Elijah Jackson, but everyone calls me Eli. I am 67 years old, and if I have learned one thing in this life, it is that fathers always know. Always. Even if they lie to our faces, even if they fake smiles, even if they swear everything is fine, we know. And I knew something was wrong with Stephanie, my only daughter. The girl I raised alone after a heart attack took my Erica when we were barely 42. The girl for whom I worked double shifts at my construction business to pay for her law school. The woman who is now 35 years old, has a fancy office, and a husband who has never looked at me with true affection. It all started 3 months ago. Subtleties that anyone would ignore, but for a father, they are fire alarms. Stephanie stopped coming on Sundays. Before, she would arrive religiously at 2 p.m., sit at the kitchen table, and devour my pot roast while telling me about her legal cases. She is a lawyer, just as she always dreamed. Just as I dreamed for her, while my hands bled from framing so many houses. But suddenly the excuses started raining down like it was hurricane season. Dad, I have an important hearing. Sorry, Victor is not feeling well. Better next week. Okay, next week never came. Then came the strange calls. I would call her in the afternoons, as I always did for 30 years, and she would answer with a tense, rushed voice. I heard murmurs in the background. Once I swear I heard Victor say something about speeding up the process before she hung up abruptly, inventing that she had bad signal. Process? What process? My paternal instinct started screaming. One Thursday afternoon, I decided to show up, unannounced, at her office. That office that was part of my house. The 2000 SQFT condo I bought with the money from my business in the city. I lent it to her when she got married 5 years ago because she needed a professional space to receive clients. And I, as always, said yes. The foolish father, the generous father, the father who never learns. I rang the bell. No one opened. I rang again. Silence. I took out my master key and entered. The office was empty, but on the mahogany desk that belonged to my wife, I saw scattered papers. I got closer. They were legal documents with my name, Elijah Jackson, words I did not completely understand. Mental capacity assessment, guardianship, asset transfer. My blood ran cold. I took a quick photo with my cell phone, put the papers back exactly as they were, and left with my heart pounding in my ears. I walked the 3 blocks to my apartment with trembling legs. I went in. I closed the door, and I sat in my brown velvet armchair, the one Erica gave me on our 15th anniversary. I did not cry. Not yet, because something in me, something forged in years of widowerhood and hard work, told me that this was just the beginning. That if I cried now, I would not have the strength for what was coming. That night, I could not sleep. I tossed and turned in bed, reviewing every recent conversation with Stephanie, every gesture of Victor in the few family gatherings where he appeared with a look of annoyance. That man never could stand me. From the day I met him 6 years ago at a fancy dinner downtown, I knew he saw me as a nuisance, an old father-in-law who was left over in the perfect life he was designing. But my daughter loved him, or so I thought. The next day, I called Sterling, my friend for 40 years. We met at the construction site when we were both young contractors looking for the best materials. He was widowed before me and was always my counselor, my brother in life. Eli, if you sense something is wrong, it is because something is wrong, he told me with that raspy voice of a repentant smoker. What are you going to do? I do not know yet, I lied, because I already knew. A plan was already brewing in my head, a dangerous one that scared me, but a necessary one. The following days, I watched Stephanie like a hawk. I started noting her schedules, her calls, her lies. Little things that I ignored before now became evidence, like when she said she had a meeting at 8 at night on a Tuesday. What lawyer has meetings at that hour? Or when Victor posted a photo on social media at an expensive restaurant the same day he was supposedly sick in bed. The pieces were starting to fit together, and the image they formed terrified me. But I needed proof, real proof, not just paranoid father intuitions, as they would surely call me if I confronted them without solid evidence. It was then that the idea occurred to me, a crazy, risky, but effective idea. I was going to fake a trip. I was going to install cameras in the office, and I would discover what the hell was happening in my own house with my own daughter. Because if I am clear about one thing after 67 years in this world, it is that the truth always comes to light. Always. And I was going to make sure it came out before it was too late. Before they took everything I built with these calloused hands that now trembled with rage and fear. Planning a trap for your own daughter is like swallowing glass. Every decision hurts. Every step makes you question if you are really doing the right thing or if you are becoming a suspicious and bitter old man. But I was none of those things. I was a father protecting what belonged to him. And if I had to become a detective to discover the truth, then I would do it. Monday morning, I called Stephanie. I forced my voice to sound cheerful, carefree. Daughter, you know what? Your Uncle Robert invited me to spend a few days in Texas. He says we have not seen each other for months, and well, you know how insistent he is. There was a pause of barely 2 seconds that told me everything. Oh, that is great, Dad. When are you leaving? Tomorrow. You know, at my age, one does not know when will be the last time one sees siblings. Another pause. How many days will you stay? There it was. The question that confirmed my suspicions. She did not ask if I needed anything. She did not offer to take me to the airport. She only wanted to know how long I would be away. 4 or 5 days, maybe a week if I feel comfortable. Perfect, Dad. Have a good time. Say hi to Uncle Robert. She hung up fast. Too fast. I stood looking at the phone with my heart crushed. My daughter had just rejoiced that her father was leaving the city. At what moment did we get to this? But there was no time for sentimentality. I had work to do. That same afternoon, I went to an electronics store downtown. The boy at the counter, a skinny kid with thick glasses and a video game shirt, looked at me with skepticism when I explained what I needed. Sir, are you sure you want cameras with live streaming? Completely sure. And make sure they have good resolution. I want to see and hear everything perfectly. He sold me 2 small cameras, almost invisible, with high-quality audio and direct connection to my cell phone. They cost me $400. It hurt to spend that money, but the truth is priceless. Do you need someone to install them? Asked the boy. No, I will handle it. That night, with my heart beating out of my chest, I went to the apartment where Stephanie's office is. I used my key. I entered like a thief in my own property. What a bitter irony. I placed the first camera inside a picture frame that has a photo of Stephanie receiving her law degree. That day I cried with pride. Now I was placing a camera behind that memory to spy on her. Life takes cruel turns. The second one I hid in an artificial plant that Victor had put on a high shelf. He never liked real plants because they are work. I should have known since then that that man was not made to take care of anything or anyone. I tested the cameras with my cell phone. Perfect. Full angle of the desk. Clear audio. If something happened there, I would see and hear it all. Before leaving, I stood in the middle of that office. The law books on the shelves, the framed diploma, the desk lamp I gave her myself when she opened her firm. Everything built with my effort, my love, my sacrifice. Please, Stephanie, I whispered to the void. Please, let me be wrong. But deep down, I knew I was not. The next day, I got up early. I packed a small suitcase as if I were really going to travel and called Sterling. It is done. Now I need a place to stay without anyone knowing. Come to my house. You have your room. You know that. No. If Stephanie comes looking for me or asking, you would tell the truth. I know you. I need a discreet hotel. I reserved a room in a small hotel on the edge of town. Nothing fancy. A hard bed, a window with a view of a gray building, and a powerful internet connection. It was all I needed. I called Rachel, the concierge of the building where I live. She's a woman of about 50, a family woman, honest. We have known each other for 13 years. I trust her more than many of my own blood, apparently. Rachel, I need to ask you a very big favor. I explained the situation. Not everything, just what was necessary. That I suspected strange movements in my daughter's office. That I had installed cameras. That I would be watching from afar. If you see unknown people entering at strange hours, or if something happens that seems suspicious to you, call me immediately at whatever time. Rachel looked at me with those wise eyes of someone who has seen a lot in life. Mr. Jackson, you have always been good to me and my family. When my girl was sick, you helped us without us asking. I will handle it. I will be attentive. I went to the hotel with a lump in my throat. I messaged Stephanie that I was already on the bus. She replied with a heart emoji. An emoji. Not even words. The first 2 days, nothing out of the ordinary happened. Stephanie went into the office in the mornings. She worked. She left in the afternoons. I watched the recordings on my cell phone like an obsessed man, pausing every detail, looking for signs. Sterling came to see me. He brought me homemade food because I'd barely tasted a bite. Eli, what if you find nothing? What if it is all in your head? Then I will be the happiest, crazy old man in the world, I replied. But on Wednesday afternoon, something changed. I saw Stephanie enter the office at 4. She looked nervous. She checked her cell phone every 2 minutes. At 5:30, she left and did not return. The hours passed. 6:37. Then, my cell phone vibrated. It was Rachel, Mr. Jackson. Her voice sounded tense, urgent. A man just entered the office. It is not your daughter's husband. And he entered with a woman in a suit I do not know. They are carrying briefcases. And she paused. Your son-in-law, Victor, just arrived too. My breath stopped. Are you sure? Completely. What do I do? Nothing. Do not do anything. Just, thank you, Rachel. I hung up with trembling hands. I opened the camera app on my cell phone and then I saw it. What appeared on the screen almost made me fall off the chair. Victor was sitting at my desk in the leather chair I bought with my first big profit from the business. He had a glass of scotch in his hand, as if he were in his own living room celebrating something. In front of him, a woman of about 40-something, expensive gray suit, hair slicked back. She had that shark smile you recognize immediately. The smile of someone who makes a living taking advantage of others. And next to them, a man with folders under his arm. I did not know him. I had never seen him in my life. I turned the volume on my cell phone to the maximum. My hands were sweating so much the device almost slipped. So, we are clear, right? Said the woman with a deep, authoritative voice. The psychiatric evaluation is scheduled for next week. Dr. Sinclair already has the instructions. He will diagnose advanced cognitive deterioration. Victor let out a laugh, a cold laugh that went through me like a knife. And if the old man refuses to go, he is not going to refuse. You tell him it is a routine checkup. At his age, they believe everything. They are like children. The man spoke for the first time. Nasal, annoyed voice. How much is the entire property worth? The woman reviewed some papers. The condo where he lives, $850,000. This apartment where we are, $600,000. He has 2 commercial spaces for rent downtown that generate $4,000 monthly, and an investment account in the bank with approximately $200,000. She paused. In total, we are talking about assets close to $2 million. The air left my lungs. $2 million. The result of 35 years working from sun to sun, of constructing until my back ached, of saving every penny, of investing intelligently, of getting up at 5 inches the morning for decades. And these miserable people said it as if it were money found on the street. Victor leaned back in the chair. My chair, with a smile of satisfaction. Once we have the declaration of incapacity, how long will it take to transfer everything? 2 months maximum, answered the woman. Stephanie signs as legal guardian. You process a simulated sale deed before the notary I am going to recommend, and that is it. The gentleman will not even find out until he is institutionalized. Institutionalized? The word hit me like a slap. And if he makes a scandal? Asked the man. The woman laughed with sufficiency. Who is going to believe an old man diagnosed with senile dementia? Besides, the nursing home I have in mind is discreet. Expensive, but discreet. With the money from his investment account, it is enough to keep him there for about 3 years. By then, we will have liquidated the properties, and we will be calm. Victor raised his glass. To my dear father-in-law who has given us so much and is going to give us so much more. The 3 toasted. They toasted with my liquor in my office, planning to steal everything from me and lock me up like an animal. I wanted to scream. I wanted to vomit. I wanted to go through the cell phone screen and tear their eyes out. But I remained paralyzed, watching that hellish scene with silent tears rolling down my cheeks. Then I heard the office door open. Stephanie entered. My heart jumped. Now, I thought, now my daughter is going to defend her father. She's going to throw out these thieves. She's going to. But Stephanie closed the door behind her calmly. She loosened her blazer and sat on the side sofa as if nothing happened. Are you done? she asked with a tired voice. Victor got up and went to her. He caressed her hair. Almost, my love. Miss Harrison was reviewing the last details. Good, said Stephanie. And then, with a sigh, the less my father knows, the better. I do not want him to suffer unnecessarily. Something broke inside me in that moment. It was not my heart that was already broken since I saw the first image. It was something deeper, something that has no name. The absolute trust, the blind faith, the love a father has for the daughter he carried 9 months, that he fed, that he cared for in every sickness, that he defended from everyone. All that turned to dust. Victor sat down again. Does he suspect anything? Stephanie shook her head. Nothing. In fact, he is happy in Texas with my uncle. He sent me a message saying he might stay the whole week. They laughed. The four of them laughed. And I was still there in that cheap hotel room with the cell phone trembling in my hands, watching how my daughter planned my destruction. Miss Harrison took out a folder. I need us to sign my fee contract. It is $45,000. $15,000 now. The rest when the property transfer is concrete. Victor did not hesitate a second. Perfect. Stephanie, take out the check. My daughter obeyed like a lapdog. She took out her wallet and signed $45,000 for ruining my life. The meeting continued another 20 minutes. They reviewed dates, strategies, contacts. The man turned out to be a corrupt social worker named Carl Williams who would falsify home visit reports, inventing that I lived in deplorable conditions. Every word was one more nail in my coffin. When they finally left, Victor and Stephanie stayed alone in the office. He approached her and kissed her. A long, disgusting kiss. When we have all the money, we are moving to Cabo. We buy that house facing the sea we saw, and your father will let him rot wherever they put him. Stephanie said nothing. She did not contradict him. She did not defend me. She did not show a shred of remorse. She just hugged him. And there, in that treacherous hug, I understood that I had lost my daughter a long time ago, probably since the day that Viper entered her life and filled her head with ambition and evil. I turned off the cell phone screen. I could not watch anymore. I let myself fall on the bed, and then, yes, I cried. I cried like I had not cried since the day I buried Erica. I cried for the girl I hugged the first time, for the girl who gave me tools with her first paycheck, for the woman who swore she would always take care of me. I cried for the father I was, and for the fool I continued being. But after crying for 3 hours, something changed. I dried my tears. I washed my face. I looked at myself in the mirror, and that 6-7-year-old black man with deep circles under his eyes and gray hair returned a look I had not seen in years. A war look. They made a mistake. I told my reflection, they made a mistake with me, because if I learned anything from my years of widowerhood and struggle, it is that a man who built an empire from scratch does not let himself be destroyed without a fight. And I was just getting started. I did not sleep that night, nor the next, nor the one that followed. I stayed in that hotel room reviewing the recordings again and again. Every word, every gesture, every damn smile of complicity between those vultures. I took notes, names, dates, amounts, everything they mentioned. Miss Patricia Harrison. I looked her up on the internet. She had an office downtown specialized in estate law and successions. In the photo on her website, she appeared with that same shark smile. The online comments were contradictory. Some satisfied clients, others accusing her of shady practices. A clear pattern. The woman had no scruples. The man was Carl Williams, social worker with a professional license, but with a doubtful history. I found a news article from 2 years ago where he had been investigated for falsifying documents in an inheritance case. They never proved anything, but the shadow was there. And Dr. Sinclair, that one was harder to track. There were 3 psychiatrists with that last name in the city, but only one had a private clinic uptown and offered discreet evaluations for seniors. Every day I watched the recordings. Stephanie came and went from the office. Sometimes alone, sometimes with Victor. They reviewed papers. They made calls. They planned my funeral while I was alive. One afternoon, 6 days after starting my trip, I captured something that froze me to the bones. Victor entered the office alone. He looked nervous. He started looking through the desk drawers with desperation. He took out folders, documents, messed up everything. He was talking to himself. Or rather, he was talking on the phone with wireless headphones. No, baby, I cannot find them. Yes, I am sure there has to be a will here. What? No. Stephanie does not know I am looking. She thinks everything is going to turn out perfect with the doctor thing. Baby? Was he calling someone baby who was not my daughter? I turned up the volume more. I got so close to the screen my nose almost touched it. Well, of course I love her. But this is money, Rhiannon. 2 million. With that, you and I can go wherever. No, she is not going to suspect anything. She's an idiot. A useful idiot who signs where I tell her. My stomach turned. My son-in-law was not only robbing me, he was cheating on my daughter and using her as a tool for his plan. I kept listening. Once we have the money, I divorce her. I invent that she mistreated me or something like that. Anyway, after committing the old man, she is going to be left with so much guilt he will not even fight. And you and I take off to Madrid as we planned. Madrid, Rhiannon, a whole life designed on the ruins of mine. Victor finally found what he was looking for. A green folder that I kept with my important documents. He opened it, read it, and smiled. I have it, the will. It is all in Stephanie's name, just as we thought. Perfect. That makes everything easier. He took photos of every page with her cell phone. Then he put everything back exactly as it was and left. I stayed looking at the blank screen with a hole in my chest. My daughter was not the brain of this. She was one more victim, a puppet manipulated by a man who never loved her, who only saw in her a path to my money. But that did not absolve her because she had chosen to believe him over trusting me. She had chosen to sign documents, hire that corrupt lawyer, plan my confinement. Victim or not, she had betrayed her father. I called Sterling. I needed to talk to someone before going crazy. Eli, come to my house now. You cannot keep being locked up there. I drove my old 2008 F-150 that I have had since Stephanie entered college. That truck has taken me everywhere. I never wanted to change it. Stephanie always told me to buy something better, something more dignified for someone of my economic position. Now I understood why. It was not for my comfort. It was because she was ashamed that her father drove a truck from 17 years ago. I arrived at Sterling's house 9 at night. He opened the door and immediately hugged me. There, in the arms of my friend of 40 years, I allowed myself to crumble a little. I know everything, I told him. It is worse than I imagined. I told him every detail while we drank coffee in his kitchen. He listened in silence with his face getting paler. That ungrateful bastard, he murmured when I finished. Sterling never swears. That he said it now made me feel validated in my rage. And now what are you going to do? Fight, I said with a firmness I did not know I still had. I am going to fight with everything. You need a lawyer. A good one. I know. But it has to be someone who does not know Stephanie. Someone who is not in her circle. Sterling stood thinking. Then he snapped his fingers. Ah, who? The daughter of Maurice, my foreman from years ago. She's a lawyer specialized in asset fraud and family law. Good. Honest. And above all, she has no relationship with your daughter's legal world. The next morning, I was sitting in Arthur's office, a woman of about 50, bald, with thick glasses and a kind smile that inspired immediate trust. I showed her everything. The videos, the audio recordings, the names, the dates. She reviewed every file with professional attention, taking notes in a hardcover notebook. When she finished, she took off her glasses and looked me directly in the eyes. Mr. Jackson, what you have here is pure gold in legal terms. Clear evidence of conspiracy to commit fraud, falsification of documents, and what is more serious, an attempt at asset stripping through false declaration of incapacity. She paused. These people can go to jail. A knot formed in my throat. Including my daughter, Arthur sighed. Your daughter signed checks, participated in planning meetings, and according to what you show me, was aware of the general plan. Yes, she is also implicated, although she hesitated. He seems more like a minor accomplice than the brain of the operation. She is a manipulated idiot, I said with bitterness. But she is an idiot who is going to lock me in a nursing home. Exactly. And that cannot be forgiven just because they deceived her. Arthur leaned back in her chair. Now, you have two paths. One, we report everything immediately to the district attorney. There are sufficient elements for them to issue arrest warrants. Your daughter, your son-in-law, and the accomplices would be arrested in a matter of days. And the other path. The other is more strategic. We let them continue with their plan up to a certain point, We watch them collect more evidence, and when they are about to complete the fraud there, we stop them with their hands in the cookie jar, as they say. The sentence would be much more severe. I remained silent, processing. What do you recommend? Arthur leaned forward. It depends on what you want to achieve, sir. Legal justice or poetic justice? That question resonated inside me. Legal justice was cold, fast, bureaucratic. Poetic justice was something else. It was looking them in the eyes. It was letting them feel they won to then snatch it all away. It was teaching them a lesson they would never forget. Poetic, I said finally. I want them to feel the same as I felt when I saw them planning my destruction. Arthur smiled, not a happy smile. A warrior's smile before battle. Then we are going to need patience, and it is going to hurt because you are going to have to act in front of them as if you knew nothing. I can do it. Are you sure? You are going to have to hug your daughter, knowing what she plans. You're going to have to smile at your son-in-law. You're going to have to pretend to be the fragile old man they think you are. I got up from the chair, and my 67 years with arthritis in my knees and gray hair on my head, I felt stronger than ever. Arthur, I built houses for 30 years. I smiled at unbearable clients. I worked sick. I buried my wife and kept going alone. I raised a daughter being a widower. I built a fortune of $2 million from scratch. I looked at her firmly. I can pretend whatever is necessary. She nodded with respect. Then let's start. Returning home was like entering a cemetery. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt the same. The ivory walls I painted 3 years ago. The brown velvet sofa where Erica and I dreamed of the future. The dining table where we celebrated every birthday of Stephanie. Everything contaminated now with the poison of betrayal. I arrived on a Sunday afternoon, as we had planned with Arthur. It had to look natural. A tired old man returning from visiting his brother. Stephanie arrived half an hour after I let her know. She rang the bell, although she has keys. That hurt me as if it were no longer her house, as if I were a stranger whose door had to be knocked on. I opened with a smile that cost me every muscle in my face. Daughter, how good to see you. She hugged me, and I had to hug her back. I had to inhale the scent of her expensive perfume, feel her arms around me, and pretend I did not know that those same arms had signed my sentence. How did it go, Dad? How is Uncle Robert? Good, good. You know how he is. Talking non-stop, lie upon lie. I had not gone to Texas. Robert did not even know about this macabre theater. Stephanie sat in the living room. I served her the iced tea she has always liked. We acted like a normal father and daughter, as if there did not exist a corrupt lawyer waiting for $45,000 to destroy me. Dad, have you felt okay? I do not know. Lately, I see you tired. There it was. The bait. The beginning of the trap. Arthur had warned me that they would start to plant the idea that I was sick, confused, senile. Well, yes, daughter. Sometimes I feel a little forgetful. The other day I did not remember where I had put my glasses. I was wearing them. Lie. I have the memory of an elephant. But she needed to hear that. I saw how her eyes lit up barely, a gleam almost imperceptible. The confirmation that her plan was on the right track. You should go to the doctor, Dad. Get some studies done. Oh no. You know I do not like doctors. But it is important. Please. For me, for you. Everything was for her, never for me. Well, if you say so. In fact, I know an excellent doctor, Dr. Sinclair. She does very complete geriatric evaluations. There was the name, the corrupt psychiatrist who would diagnose me as demented. Geriatric? I pretended to be offended. I am not that old. Stephanie laughed, a fake hollow laugh. It is just a checkup, Dad. To prevent it is okay. We will talk about that later. I changed the subject. I asked her about her work, about Victor. Every answer was a lie, wrapped in another lie. She stayed barely 40 minutes. She had things to do. She always had things to do when it came to her father. When she left, I collapsed on the sofa. My legs were trembling. Acting in front of her had been harder than I imagined. I grabbed the silver locket I always wear around my neck. Inside is the photo of Erica and me on our wedding day. We were so young, so full of dreams. Forgive me, my love, I whispered to the photo. Forgive me for not raising our daughter better. The following days were calculated torture. Victor started visiting me, something he never did. He arrived with a face of fake concern and poisoned words disguised as affection. Father-in-law, Stephanie told me you have been forgetful. How do you feel? Good, dear. Just things of age. I hated calling him dear, but I had to do it. He sat in my living room, drank my coffee, and studied every one of my movements like a scientist observing an experiment. One afternoon, while I pretended to look for my keys that I had lost, I had them in my purse. I saw him taking discreet photos of the house with his cell phone, surely to show them to the corrupt social worker as evidence that I lived in clutter. But my house was spotless as always. 2 weeks after returning from Texas, Stephanie came back with the doctor topic. Dad, I already got you an appointment with Dr. Sinclair. It is this Friday at 11. This Friday? But I have. You have nothing, Dad. And it is important, please. The way she said please sounded more like an order. It is okay. Arthur had prepared me for this. I would go to the appointment. I would let the fraudulent doctor do her little theater, but I would bring my own surprise. Friday arrived. Stephanie picked me up. She took me to a private clinic uptown. Everything elegant, modern, and personal. Dr. Sinclair was a woman of about 60. Gray hair, perfectly combed, pristine white coat. She received me with a professional smile. Mr. Jackson, nice to meet you. Come in, please. Stephanie tried to enter with me. I prefer it to be alone for protocol, said the doctor. My daughter stayed in the waiting room. Once alone, Dr. Sinclair changed completely. The smile became mechanical. We are going to do some simple tests, sir. Just answer calmly. She asked me silly questions. What day is today? What year are we in? Who is the president? I answered everything perfectly. I saw the frustration on her face. Then she started with tricky questions. Do you remember what you had for breakfast? Do you know how you got here? Do you recognize the people who take care of you? No one takes care of me, doctor. I live alone, and I manage perfectly. She wrote things in her notebook, things I could not see. Then she asked me to draw a clock. I did it perfectly. She asked me to repeat a list of words. I repeated them all. She asked me to subtract by sevens from 100. I did it without making a mistake. Every test I passed was a pebble in her shoe. Finally, she sighed. Sir, do you handle your own finances? Yes. Do you take important decisions alone? Always. Does your daughter help you with anything? My daughter has her life. I have mine. I saw how she clenched her jaw. I was not following the script they had paid her to write. Good, Mr. Jackson. I'm going to send the results to your daughter in a few days. To my daughter, not to me. Well, she was the one who requested the evaluation, but I am the patient. Awkward silence. You are right. I will send them to both. Lie. I knew she would send a fake diagnosis of advanced cognitive deterioration. I left the office. Stephanie got up immediately. How did it go? Good. The doctor is very kind. Lie for lie. We were all lying. This family had become a nest of vipers. On the way back, Stephanie was quiet. I knew what she was thinking. She was calculating how much time was left until the fake diagnosis arrived, and they could take the next step. When we arrived at my house before I got out, she took my hand. Dad, you know I love you. Right? I stayed looking at those eyes I helped open for the first time 35 years ago. Those eyes that looked at me with infinite love when she was a baby. That looked for me when she had nightmares. That cried on my shoulder when she lost her first love. At what moment did those eyes learn to lie? I know, my daughter, but I did not know anymore. I did not know anything about this woman who carried my dead wife's last name and acted like a stranger. I got out of the truck, I entered my house, I closed the door, and there, leaning against the cold wood, I finally let out the sob I had been holding back. I cried for the daughter I lost, for the family that never really existed, for the years I wasted, believing that love was enough. But when I ran out of tears, I dried my face, poured myself a glass of water, and called Arthur. I already went to Dr. Sinclair, and I did all the tests perfectly. She looked frustrated. Good. That means they are going to have to falsify the diagnosis more obviously. Better evidence for us. How much more time do I have to pretend? Patience, Mr. Jackson. We are cornering them, but we need them to take the next step to try to make the transfer there. We will catch them. I hung up the phone. Patience. That word again. But my patience was running out, along with my heart. The diagnosis arrived a week later by certified mail. A thick manila envelope with the clinic's letterhead. I opened it with trembling hands, although I already knew what it would say. Moderate to severe cognitive deterioration. Permanent supervision recommended. Incapacity to make financial or legal decisions autonomously. Suggestion of immediate family guardianship. Every word was a lie. A lie paid with $45,000. I took a photo of the document and sent it to Arthur. Her response was immediate. Perfect. It is clear evidence of falsification. Keep the original in a safe place. I put the envelope in a safe I have hidden behind a painting in my bedroom. No one knows about that safe, not even Stephanie. Inside are all my important documents, deeds, will, insurance policies, and now the proofs of my daughter's betrayal. 2 days later, Stephanie arrived with Victor. It was Saturday afternoon. I was making pot roast as I did every Saturday since Stephanie was a child. A tradition that used to unite us. Now it was just theater. Dad, we need to talk. The tone was serious, rehearsed. Is something wrong? Victor sat on the sofa like the gentleman of the manor. Stephanie remained standing, nervous. Your diagnosis from Dr. Sinclair arrived. Oh, yes. I received it too. Did you read it? Of course. It says I'm sick in the head. Awkward silence. It is not that you are sick, Dad. It is that you need help, support. I am fine, Stephanie. I cook, I clean, I drive. I pay my bills. What else do you want? Victor intervened with that honeyed voice he used when he wanted to manipulate. Father-in-law, it is for your own good. At your age, these things get worse fast. You need someone to take care of you. No one is going to kill me. I take care of myself. Dad, it is not negotiable. The way Stephanie said that froze my blood. Not negotiable, as if I were a child, as if my opinion did not matter. What do you mean by that? She took some papers out of her briefcase. I spoke with a lawyer. I'm going to process a guardianship. It is a legal process where I become responsible for your decisions, for your finances, for your well-being. Are you taking away my freedom? I am protecting you. I got up from the chair. The rage burned inside me, but I had to control it. It was not the moment yet. I am not signing anything. You do not need to sign with the medical diagnosis. It is sufficient. Victor smiled barely. That victory smile he practiced so much. Besides, continued Stephanie, I spoke with the family, with Uncle Robert, with Aunt Caroline, with your cousins. I explained the situation to them. Everyone agrees that it is for the best. My breath stopped. Did you tell everyone I'm crazy? You are not crazy, Dad. You are sick. I am not sick. That doctor is a fraud. Stephanie and Victor exchanged looks. The look of, you see, he's paranoid. Just as we said. Dad, please do not make this harder. Get out of my house. What? I want you to leave, both of you now. Stephanie took a step toward me. Dad, out. My scream resonated on the walls. Victor got up immediately, scared. Stephanie stayed there, looking at me as if I were a wild animal. Let's go, Victor told her, pulling her arm. You see how he gets. He is worse than we thought. They left, and I stayed alone among the pots of stew that no one was going to eat. But the worst had not happened yet. 3 days later, my cell phone started ringing nonstop. Uncle Robert, Aunt Caroline, my cousin Maurice, my niece Tanya, everyone asking, worried, confused. Stephanie had told them that I was bad, that I refused to receive help, that I was in danger. I had to explain to each one that I was perfectly fine, that it was a misunderstanding, that Stephanie was exaggerating. Some believed me, others did not. Oh, Eli, but she is your daughter. Why would she lie to you? Why? For 2 million reasons. The final blow arrived the following Sunday. Stephanie organized a family meeting at her house. She called me to tell me it was important that I go, that we needed to resolve this as a family. Arthur told me to go, that it was part of the plan, that I needed to see how far they were capable of going. I arrived at 4 Inches the afternoon, Stephanie's house in the suburbs, a house they bought 2 years ago with money I lent them and they never paid back. $50,000. I gave in good faith for the down payment. When I entered, everyone was there. Uncle Robert, Aunt Caroline with her husband John, my cousin Maurice and his wife, my niece Tanya. Even Pastor Williams was there, the parish priest where I baptized Stephanie. I felt like I was in a trial. Stephanie pointed to a single armchair in the center as if I were the accused. Thanks for coming, Dad. Sit down, please. I sat down. Everyone looked at me with a mixture of pity and concern. Victor was in the kitchen preparing coffee. The perfect host. Stephanie stood up in front of everyone. I gathered you because I need your support. Dad is sick. He has cognitive deterioration, but he refuses to accept it. Uncle Robert, the older brother of my late wife, spoke with a trembling voice. Eli, my love, is it true? Are you sick? No, Robert. I am perfectly fine. Stephanie took out Dr. Sinclair's diagnosis and passed it around like evidence in a court. Everyone read it. Everyone shook their heads with sadness. Elijah intervened Pastor Williams with that pastoral voice he used for sermons. Sometimes diseases of the mind prevent us from seeing our own condition. It is not your fault, but you must accept help. Pastor, with all due respect, I am not sick. That diagnosis is false. You see, said Stephanie, raising her hands. He thinks it is a conspiracy. Everyone looked at me with more pity. It is not a conspiracy. It is the truth. Maurice approached and took my hand. Cousin, I know it is difficult to accept it. When my dad had Alzheimer's, he also denied it. I do not have Alzheimer's. I do not have anything. Stephanie continued with her prepared speech. That is why I need to process the guardianship to protect him so he does not make decisions he will later regret. Aunt Caroline nodded. It is the right thing, Stephanie. You are a good daughter. Good daughter. Those words pierced me like bullets. Victor came out of the kitchen with a tray of coffee and cookies. He served everyone with a sweet smile. The worried son-in-law, the supportive husband. I wanted to scream at everyone that they were idiots, that they were lying to them, that this was an orchestrated robbery. But if I did it, I would confirm what Stephanie had told them, that I was paranoid, delirious, crazy. So, I stayed quiet, clenching my fists, feeling how they humiliated me in public. So, are everyone in agreement? Said Stephanie. Tomorrow I start the legal process. Everyone nodded, even Pastor Williams. It is for your own good, Elijah, repeated Robert. For my own good. Everything was for my own good. I got up from the armchair. Where are you going, Dad? I am leaving. I have nothing else to do here, but we just served coffee. I do not want your coffee. I do not want your pity. And I do not want your betrayal. I walked toward the door. No one stopped me. Everyone let me go, thinking I was a confused old man having a tantrum. I got into my F-150. I closed the door. And there, in the parking lot of my daughter's house, with the afternoon falling over the city, I allowed myself to cry from humiliation. They had exposed me. They had judged me. They had condemned me without hearing me out. And the worst part, they had done it with the blessing of my own family and a priest. I drove back home with tears in my eyes. I almost crashed twice because I could not see well. When I arrived, I locked myself in my bedroom. I turned off my cell phone and I lay down in the dark. That night, I did not have dinner. I did not watch television. I did not do anything. I just stayed there staring at the ceiling, feeling like the loneliest man in the universe. But at some point in the early morning, something changed inside me. The pain transformed into something darker, more powerful. Fury, pure fury, burning, relentless. I got out of bed. I turned on the light. I looked at myself in the mirror. And that 6-7-year-old man with swollen eyes and messy hair was no longer the same. He was no longer the suffering father. He was the warrior. And the war was just beginning. I cried for 3 days. 3 full days where I barely left the bed, where the phone rang and I did not answer, where the food remained untouched in the kitchen. Sterling came to knock on the door on the 3rd day. He used the emergency key I gave him years ago. He found me sitting in the living room armchair, staring into the void with uncombed hair and the same clothes from Sunday. Eli, for God's sake, he sat next to me. He said nothing else. He just hugged me, and I clung to him like a castaway to a life preserver. They humiliated me, Sterling, in front of everyone. They treated me as if I were crazy. I know, my brother. I know. And no one defended me. No one. He pulled away to look me in the eyes. Then defend yourself, as you have done all your life. He was right. I had buried my wife and kept going. I had built a business from nothing. I had raised a daughter alone. I had survived things that would kill other people. And now, was I going to let myself be destroyed by an ungrateful daughter and her viper husband? No. I got up from the armchair. I went to shower. I washed my hair. I put on clean clothes. And I called Arthur. I need to see you today. Now, an hour later, I was in her office. This time, I was not going as a scared victim. I was going as a general planning a battle. Mr. Jackson, are you okay? No, but I am going to be. Tell me everything. What is next in your plan? Arthur opened a thick folder. While you were processing, I was investigating and I found interesting things. She took out several documents. First, Victor, your son-in-law, has a record. 7 years ago, he defrauded his previous partner in another state. He took $30,000 from her and disappeared. She never sued him because she was ashamed. I felt a dark satisfaction run through me. How did you find that out? I have contacts. The point is that your son-in-law is a professional scammer. Your daughter is not his first victim. She took out more papers. Second, I found this Rhiannon person. Rhiannon Lee, 35 years old, yoga instructor, and effectively, she is Victor's lover. They live together in an apartment uptown that he rented 4 months ago. Your daughter has no idea they live together. That is right. He tells Stephanie he goes to the gym 3 times a week. In reality, he spends those nights with Rhiannon. Every revelation was one more nail in Victor's coffin. Third, and this is important, Victor has debts. A lot of debts. Credit cards in the red unpaid personal loans. He owes approximately $58,000. Does my daughter know? No. He's been paying the minimums with the money she gives him for household expenses. Arthur closed the folder and looked at me seriously. Mr. Jackson, this man plans to steal everything from you. Leave your daughter and go to Spain with the lover. Your daughter is just a means to an end. Something stirred inside me. Yes, Stephanie had betrayed me, but she was also a victim of this man. Or that is what I wanted to believe, to not accept that my daughter was equally guilty. And Miss Harrison, that is another case. Patricia Harrison has several open files with the Bar Association for unethical practices. They have never sanctioned her because she is slippery. But this time, we have her. What do you recommend I do? Arthur leaned on her desk. They are going to try to get you to sign transfer documents probably this week. They are going to pressure you using the fake diagnosis and family concern. When that moment comes, you sign. What? You sign. But before you and I are going to go to a real notary, one I know, and we are going to make a notarized declaration that you are being coerced. We are going to record your testimony. It is going to demonstrate that you are completely lucid, and later when you sign the fake documents we will have absolute proof of fraud, and then we arrest them all with irrefutable evidence. Will my daughter go to jail? Arthur did not lie. Probably, unless she cooperates against the others. I stayed silent, processing that. My daughter in jail. Was that what I wanted? I need to think about it. I understand. But we do not have much time. They are going to speed up the process after what happened on Sunday. She was right. The following days were a whirlwind of secret activity. I went with the notary Arthur recommended. Mr. Henderson, a 70-year-old man with impeccable reputation. In front of him and 2 witnesses, I gave my full testimony. I narrated everything. The conspiracy, the recordings, the corrupt doctor, the humiliating family meeting. They did mental capacity tests on me. I passed them all perfectly. Mr. Jackson, said Mr. Henderson, after 2 hours, you are more lucid than people half your age. This is going to be legally recorded. If anyone tries to declare the opposite, this notarized act denies it. He gave me certified copies. I kept them in my safe, along with the other evidence. I also hired a private investigator, a discreet man named Mike, whom Arthur knew. I want photos of Victor with his lover. Video, if possible. I want irrefutable evidence. Mike worked fast. In 3 days, he had what I needed. Photos of Victor entering the apartment uptown. Photos of him kissing Rhiannon at the door. Video of both leaving together, holding hands, laughing. Every image was a dagger. But I also investigated Stephanie's finances more deeply. With Arthur's help, we discovered something disturbing. My daughter had economic problems. Her firm was not doing as well as she presumed. She had debts with suppliers, 3 months behind on the rent of her main office. And the worst, she had taken out a loan of $85,000 6 months ago that was about to expire. That is why she needed my money with such urgency. It was not only for ambition, it was for necessity. That information gave me a different perspective. It did not justify anything, but it explained it. One night, while I reviewed all the collected material, Sterling came to visit me. How do you feel? Stronger, clearer. Did you decide what you are going to do? I stared at the photos scattered on my table. Stephanie signing the check for Harrison, Victor kissing Rhiannon, the fake diagnosis, the debt documents. I am going to give them enough rope to hang themselves. Sterling smiled with sadness. Sounds like there is no turning back. There is not. I let them humiliate me once. There will not be a second time. Thursday afternoon, as Arthur had predicted, Stephanie called me. Dad, we need you to come tomorrow to sign some documents. What documents? Guardianship papers and some bank papers to protect your assets. To steal my assets, she meant to say. Is it necessary? Yes, Dad. It is for your own good. That for your own good again. It gave me nausea. It is okay. At what time? At 11. At Miss Harrison's office. I will send you the address. Is the notary going to be there? Yes. Everything is going to be legal. I promise you. Promises of a liar. I hung up and called Arthur immediately. It is tomorrow. They are going to try to make me sign. Perfect. I will be close with the authorities. I will bring a real notary and an officer from the district attorney's office. The moment you sign those fraudulent documents, we enter. And if I regret it, are you going to regret it? I stayed silent. I thought about the 35 years I dedicated to raising Stephanie, the sleepless nights when she was sick, the sacrifices, the unconditional love. I thought about the family meeting where they humiliated me, about the fake diagnosis, about the way they planned to lock me up. No, I said firmly. I am not going to regret it. Then see you tomorrow. And Mr. Jackson, yes, it is going to hurt. Even when you win, it is going to hurt. It already hurts. Arthur, it already hurts. That night, I did not sleep. I spent it sitting in the brown velvet armchair holding the locket with Erica's photo. My love, I whispered, tomorrow I'm going to do something I never imagined. I am going to report our daughter. Forgive me if it is a mistake, but I cannot let them destroy me, not after everything we fought to build. I felt as if Erica answered me, not with words, but with a sensation of peace. She would have done the same. She never would have let anyone, not even her daughter, trample on me. I woke up with irritated eyes but a clear mind. I dressed in my best clothes, a brown suit I made myself 2 years ago, pearl earrings, the silver locket, comfortable shoes but elegant. If I was going to face my traitors, I would do it with dignity. Before leaving, I looked at myself in the mirror one last time. Elijah Jackson, I said out loud. Today, you take back your life. And I left my house heading toward justice. Miss Harrison's office was downtown in one of those glass buildings where everything shines but nothing is real. I arrived 10 minutes before 11. Arthur had told me to arrive on time, not to give signs of suspicion. In the parking lot, I checked my purse. I had my ID, my glasses, and a small rosary that belonged to my mother, not to pray to have something of hers with me in this moment. I went up to the 12th floor. The elevator doors opened to an elegant reception. Marble floor, modern furniture, a young receptionist with a plastic smile. Good morning. I am here to see Miss Harrison. Name, Elijah Jackson. She checked her computer. Yes, they are waiting for you. Go ahead, please. Conference room 2. I walked down a long hallway. My heels resonated against the floor. Every step brought me closer to the decisive moment. I opened the conference room door. Everyone was there. Stephanie standing by the window, Victor sitting with a face of fake worry, Miss Harrison with a sharp smile, and an older man I did not know with a leather briefcase. Dad, good thing you arrived. Stephanie approached to give me a kiss on the cheek. I had to make a superhuman effort not to push her away. Sit down, please, said Harrison, pointing to a chair. I sat down. Everyone arranged themselves around the table like vultures around a corpse. Mr. Jackson, began Harrison with a professional voice. Today, we are going to formalize the guardianship of your daughter over your assets. It is a simple procedure. We just need some signatures. And who is he? I asked, pointing to the older man. He is the public notary, Mr. Franklin. He's going to certify that everything is done according to law. Fake notary surely or bought. This Franklin guy nodded with a serious face. Harrison took out a stack of documents. First, this is the guardianship document. It establishes that due to your medical condition, your daughter Stephanie will remain as your legal guardian. She passed me the sheets. I read fast. Everything was there. The declaration of incapacity based on the fake diagnosis, The transfer of decision power. The authorization for Stephanie to move my money. And if I do not want to sign, tense silence. Stephanie spoke with a soft voice. Dad, we already talked about this. It is for your own good. Besides, intervened Victor, we already discussed it as a family. Everyone agrees. I stayed silent. I pretended to doubt. Mr. Jackson, said Harrison with fake patience, you are not in conditions to take this decision. The medical diagnosis is clear. That diagnosis is... I stopped. Arthur had told me not to confront them yet, to sign, to let them feel victorious. It is okay, I said finally. Where do I sign? I saw how Harrison and Victor exchanged looks of relief. Stephanie sighed. The fake notary pointed to the pages. Here, and here, with your full name. I took the pen. My hand was trembling, not from fear, from contained rage. I signed the first page, then the second. But when I was going to sign the third, the conference room door burst open. 4 people entered. Arthur, a notary I did know, Mr. Henderson, an officer from the district attorney's office with a visible badge, and a uniformed man, a police detective. What is the meaning of this? Yelled Harrison, getting up from the chair. Arthur spoke with a firm and clear voice. Miss Patricia Harrison, Mr. Franklin, be informed that you are being investigated for fraud, falsification of documents, and conspiracy to commit asset theft. The silence that followed was deathly. Stephanie looked at me with wild eyes. Dad, what? Victor was pale. Harrison had lost all her arrogance. The officer approached the table. Who is Mr. Elijah Jackson? Me, I said, standing up. Are you being coerced to sign these documents? Yes. Are you in full use of your mental faculties? Completely. Mr. Henderson, the real notary, took documents out of his briefcase. I have here a notarized affidavit dated 4 days ago where Mr. Jackson gave full testimony of his mental capacity. He passed all evaluations. It is certified that no cognitive deterioration exists. Franklin, the bot notary, tried to leave. One moment, said the detective, blocking his path. You are not going anywhere, Arthur continued. We have audio and video recordings where this fraud is planned. We have evidence of illegal payments. We have a medical diagnosis falsified by Dr. Sinclair, who will also be investigated. Harrison finally reacted. This is a misunderstanding. We were only stealing $2 million. It is not a misunderstanding, counselor. It is a felony. Stephanie kept looking at me as if I were a stranger. Dad, you knew. All this time, I repeated, since you set foot in this trap. Victor got up abruptly. This is ridiculous. Stephanie, do not stand there. Call your lawyer. I am a lawyer, murmured my daughter with a broken voice. Then defend us. Defend me. There it was, the moment of truth. Arthur took out more documents. Mr. Victor Jackson, do you recognize these photographs? She put on the table the photos of him with Rhiannon kissing, hugging, entering the apartment together. Stephanie's face changed from shock to absolute devastation. What is this? Victor paled even more. Stephanie, I can explain. Can you explain why you are kissing another woman? It is a montage. He did it. Your father invented it all. Arthur put more evidence on the table. We also have bank records that demonstrate that Mr. Victor has debts for $58,000. Debts he has been hiding. And we have transfers to a certain Rhiannon Lee for smaller amounts that total approximately $12,000 in the last 4 months. Stephanie let herself fall into the chair. She put her hands to her head. My God. My God. The officer took out his notebook. I need everyone to remain here while we take statements. Miss Harrison, Mr. Franklin, you have the right to remain silent into an attorney. This is illegal, protested Harrison, recovering some voice. You cannot enter like this. We have a court order. The officer showed a document signed this morning by a judge. You are being formally investigated. Harrison collapsed in her chair. The detective began taking photos of the fake documents on the table, evidence that would be used in the trial. I was still standing, watching how everything crumbled in front of me. Victor tried to approach Stephanie. My love listened to me. This is not what it looks like. She pushed him away with a brusque gesture. Do not touch me. Do not you dare touch me. Victor, how long have you been deceiving me? He did not respond. He just started crying. Fake crocodile tears. Arthur approached me. Are you okay? Mr. Jackson? Yes, I lied. I was not okay. I was destroyed inside. But I was standing, and that was the only thing that mattered. Stephanie finally looked at me. There were tears in her eyes. Dad, I did not know that he... You did not know. You did not know he planned to rob me. You did not know you signed a check for $45,000 for a corrupt lawyer. You did not know they wanted to lock me in a nursing home. I thought he told me it was for your own good, that you were sick. I am not sick, Stephanie. I never was. And deep down, you knew it. She lowered her gaze. I had debts. The firm is broke. You needed my money. So, you planned to rob me? It was not like that. I thought I would return everything later. I laughed, a bitter laugh without joy. After locking me up, after declaring me crazy, after taking away my freedom? Silence. The officer intervened. Miss Stephanie Jackson, we also need your statement. You appear as an accomplice in several documents. My daughter covered her face with her hands, and I, after 35 years of being a father, felt something break definitely between us. The officer began asking formal questions. Harrison asked for a lawyer. Franklin was sweating profusely. Victor did not stop crying. I stayed there, standing by the window, watching the city spread out below, and I thought, I won. But it does not feel like victory. It felt like a funeral. The following 3 hours were a controlled chaos of statements, documents, and phone calls. They transferred us all to the district attorney's office. Gray rooms, uncomfortable chairs, smell of old coffee, and stale papers. They took me to a separate room. Arthur remained by my side the whole time. A district attorney, Mr. Sanchez, took my full statement. I narrated everything from the beginning. I showed the recordings, the photos, the fake documents, the affidavit that demonstrated my mental capacity. He listened with professional attention, taking notes on his computer. Mr. Jackson, this is a solid case. We have sufficient elements to proceed against all involved. All your daughter, your son-in-law, Miss Harrison, Mr. Franklin, and we will also issue an arrest warrant against Dr. St. Clair. Hearing your daughter on that list pierced my chest. Will she go to prison? Mr. Sanchez looked at me with something resembling compassion. Depends if she cooperates. If she returns the $45,000 she paid as a retainer. If she gives testimony against the others, we could negotiate a lesser sentence, probably probation. And if she does not cooperate, from 5 to 12 years for aggravated fraud. 5 to 12 years. My daughter, the girl I raised, the woman I hugged, could spend more than a decade in jail. What do you recommend I do? He closed his notebook. That is not for me to decide. She is your daughter. It is your decision. When they finished taking my statement, it was almost 5:00 inches the afternoon. My head hurt. I had not eaten anything since breakfast. Arthur took me to the cafeteria of the building. We bought coffee and some packaged sandwiches that tasted like cardboard. Do you want to see her? She asked. Who? Stephanie. She is asking to speak with you. A knot formed in my stomach. I do not know if I can. I understand. But maybe you need to hear her for closure. Closure? As if 35 years could be closed like a book. It is okay. But you come with me. Of course. They took us to an interview room. White walls, metal table, 2 chairs on each side. Stephanie was already there, sitting handcuffed. Seeing her with those handcuffs tore something inside me. She was my daughter, my baby, the girl who clung to my hand when she was scared. I sat across from her. Arthur stayed standing by the door. There was a long silence. Stephanie had red, swollen eyes. She had been crying. Dad, do not call me that. The words came out harder than I intended. Forgive me. Please, forgive me. Forgive you for what exactly, Stephanie? The conspiracy, the fake diagnosis, the $45,000 you paid that criminal, or the fact that you planned to lock me in a nursing home? She shrank with every word. I was desperate. The firm is bankrupt. I owe money everywhere. The bank was going to foreclose on the house. Victor pressured me. He told me you had so much money and that we were sinking. So, the solution was to rob me. It was not robbing. I thought that later, when everything was fixed, I would return it. I would take care of you. It would be a loan. I laughed without humor. A loan I never authorized, for which you would declare me crazy and lock me up against my will. Victor said it would be the best, that you would be comfortable, well cared for, and you believed him. Silence. You believed that man who was cheating on you with another woman who has a lover with whom he planned to go to Spain with my money? That man who used you as a tool? Stephanie sobbed openly. I did not know. I swear to you, I did not know. But you knew you were betraying me. Your father, the one who worked day and night to give you an education. The one who constructed until my back bled so you could study at the university. The one who gave you the down payment for your house. The one who always was there for you. I know, and I hate myself for it. She covered her face with her handcuffed hands. Do you know what is the worst, Stephanie? It is not the money. The money is just money. The worst is that you chose to believe him over me. That when I told you I was fine, that I was not sick, you decided to ignore me. That you humiliated me in front of the whole family. That you treated me as if I were a nuisance. Forgive me, Dad. Please. How can I forgive you? How do I forgive that you did exactly what you swore never to do? She looked at me without understanding. When your mother died, I continued with a trembling voice. When you were barely 12 years old, you hugged me at the funeral and told me, do not worry, Dad. I'm going to take care of you always. I am never going to fail you. Do you remember? Her eyes filled with new tears. I remember. You lied. You failed me in the worst way possible. She buried her head between her arms and cried like a small child. Something inside me wanted to get up, surround her, comfort her. The paternal instinct that 35 years cannot erase. But I stayed sitting still because it was not she who needed to comfort. It was I who needed justice. Arthur spoke for the first time. Stephanie, Mr. Sanchez offered a deal. If you return the retainer money, if you testify against Harrison, Franklin, and Dr. Sinclair, and if you accept a restitution of damages toward your father, they could significantly reduce your sentence. Stephanie raised her head. Restitution of damages. You must compensate your father for emotional damages and for the legal expenses he has had to incur. I have no money. I already told you I am bankrupt. Then you will work to pay it for the time that is necessary. Stephanie looked at me. Is that what you want, Dad? Money? I do not want your money, Stephanie. I never wanted it. The only thing I ever wanted was your respect, your true love, your loyalty. You have them. You have had them always. Actions say the opposite. There was another heavy silence. Finally, Arthur put some papers on the table. This is the agreement the district attorney is willing to offer. Read it. Think about it. You have until tomorrow to decide. Stephanie took the papers with trembling hands. And Victor, your husband is going to face separate charges. Fraud. Emotional bigamy does not apply legally. But adultery affects the divorce. Concealment of debts. He does not have the same deal as you because there is a record. He already defrauded someone before. Stephanie's face broke down. How much time? Probably 7 to 10 years without reduction. My daughter crumbled completely. And my sons? What is going to happen to Ashton and Corey? I froze. Ashton and Corey, my grandsons, were 11 and 9 years old. In the middle of all this disaster, I had forgotten they existed. 2 innocent boys who were going to pay for their parents' mistakes. Where are they right now? I asked. With Victor's mom in another city. Do they know anything about this? No. We told them it was a work meeting. Arthur intervened. If both parents go to prison, temporary custody will pass to relatives. The maternal grandmother, or she, looked at me significantly. Or the paternal grandfather. Me. She was telling me that I could keep my grandsons, 2 boys I barely saw twice a year because Victor always made excuses not to visit me. They cannot pay for this, I said firmly. They are innocent. Stephanie looked at me with something resembling hope. Would you take care of them despite everything? I would not do it for you. I would do it for them and for your mother who would be destroyed to see what you turned your life into. She nodded, defeated. I accept the deal. I will do whatever is necessary. I will testify. I will return the money, even if I have to sell everything. But please take care of my sons. Arthur gathered the papers. Then tomorrow we will sign the documents. Mr. Jackson, do you agree with this arrangement? I stared at my daughter, that 5-year-old woman who seemed to have aged 10 years in a single day. Did I agree? No. I wanted her to pay more. I wanted her to suffer as I suffered. But I also wanted my grandsons to have even one of their parents available eventually. I agree, but with one additional condition. Which one? When you get out of this, when you pay everything you owe, I do not want to see you for a year. A full year where you do not come near me, where you rebuild your life in silence. And later, maybe we can talk about if it is possible to forgive." Stephanie closed her eyes. "Are you banishing me? I am giving you time and space to reflect on the woman you became and the woman you should be." She nodded slowly. "It is okay. I accept it." I got up from the chair. I had nothing more to say, Dad. I stopped at the door, but I did not turn around. "I am sorry. I am sorry for everything, and I am going to spend the rest of my life trying to make it up to you." "You do not make it up to me, Stephanie. You make it up to your sons. Become the father they deserve. You already failed as a daughter." I left that room with my back straight and my eyes dry. But when I got to Arthur's car, when I sat down and closed the door, finally I allowed myself to cry. I cried for the daughter I lost, for the family that was destroyed, for the grandsons I would have to raise at 67. I cried for everything that could be and never was. And I cried because justice, although necessary, does not erase the pain. It only makes it bearable. 6 months later, I woke up at 0 inches the morning, like every morning since Ashton and Corey came to live with me. The boys slept in the room that used to be my home office. I converted that space full of blueprints and machines into a cozy room with 2 twin beds, blue curtains, and a bookshelf full of stories. I prepared breakfast, scrambled eggs, grits, freshly made toast. The aroma filled the house, and soon I heard Ashton's steps coming down the stairs. "Good morning, Grandpa." "Good morning, my love. Did you sleep well?" "Yes, I had a nice dream. I dreamed Mom came to visit us." A knot formed in my throat. Stephanie was serving a 2-year sentence with probation. She could not leave the city limits. She worked at a public defender's office, earning barely enough to pay her debt to me and the damages. Every month she deposited $600. It was not much, but it was constant, and it was honest. I had not spoken to her since that day at the district attorney's office. She sent messages through Arthur asking about the boys, but I did not respond directly. I was not ready yet. Corey came down, rubbing his eyes. "Is it time for school?" "Yes, my darling. Go wash your face." Both boys had suffered terribly when we explained what had happened with their parents. Crying, nightmares, questions that had no easy answers. But children are resilient, and with time, with routine, with love, they began to heal. After taking them to school, I returned home. Sterling came to visit me as he did 3 times a week. "How are the boys?" "Better. Ashton got an A on his math test. Corey is learning to play the drums. And you?" I stayed silent, preparing coffee. "I am here complying. Eli, 6 months already passed. When are you going to allow yourself to feel something more than obligation?" "I do not know what you mean." "Yes, you do. You are raising those boys as a duty, not as a joy. You get up, you feed them, you take them to school, you do homework with them, but you do not smile." He was right. I had built a perfect, efficient, responsible routine, but somewhere along the way, I had forgotten how to enjoy it. "I do not know if I can, Sterling. Every time I look at them, I see Stephanie. I see her betrayal. They are not her betrayal. They are innocent. I know. That is why I am taking care of them. But taking care of them is not the same as loving them. And they feel it." Those words hurt me because they were true. That afternoon when I picked up the boys from school, instead of going straight home, I took them to the park. "Really, Grandpa?" asked Corey with bright eyes. "Really? We are going to buy ice cream and feed the ducks." We spent 3 hours there, running, laughing. Corey showed me how to climb the jungle gym. Ashton told me about the girl he likes in his class, and for the first time in 6 months, I felt something warm in my chest. It was not complete happiness, but it was a start. A week later, Arthur called me. "Mr. Jackson, we have news." "What happened?" Victor was sentenced. 9 years of effective prison, without possibility of reduction, for the next 4 years. 9 years. That man who planned to destroy me would be locked up almost a decade, and Harrison, 7 years. Franklin, 5. Dr. Sinclair lost her medical license and is also facing criminal charges, probably 6 years. Everyone paying, everyone facing consequences. "How does it feel?" asked Arthur. "I do not know. I thought I would feel victorious, but I just feel tired. It is normal. Justice does not always bring immediate peace. Sometimes it only brings closure. Closure. That word again. 2 weeks later, A letter arrived at my house. Sender, Stephanie Jackson. I left it on the kitchen table for 3 days without opening it. Ashton saw it one morning. Grandpa, is it from Mom? Yes. Are you not going to read it? Not yet. Why not? How do you explain to an 1-year-old boy that sometimes forgiveness requires more strength than you have available? Because I am still angry with your mom. I was angry too, said Ashton with a maturity that did not correspond to his age. But I missed talking to her. That night, after putting the boys to bed, I finally opened the letter. It was long, 3 handwritten pages with Stephanie's handwriting that I knew so well. It began with apologies, pages of apologies, acknowledging every mistake, every lie, every betrayal. Then she talked about her process, about how she was going to therapy, about how she was learning to see the signs of manipulation he ignored with Victor, about how she had hit rock bottom and from there was trying to rebuild herself. And at the end, she wrote something that broke me. Dad, I do not ask you to forgive me. I do not deserve your forgiveness. I only ask that when you see my sons, when you hug them, when you take care of them, remember that once I was also that innocent child, and that somewhere inside, the woman who betrayed you, there still exists the daughter who loved you, who has always loved you, who just lost the way in the most horrible way possible. I do not need you to love me again. I just need you to know that everything I am doing now, every day of honest work, every dollar I return to you, every moment I spend reflecting on my mistakes, I do it because although you no longer consider me your daughter, I will never stop considering you my father. And no one can take that away from me, not even myself with my unforgivable mistakes. I cried reading those words. Not because I forgave her. Not yet, but because I recognized some truth in them. The next day, I wrote her a response letter. Short, direct. Stephanie, I received your letter. I read it completely. I am not ready to see you, nor to talk to you. But I want you to know that Ashton and Corey are fine. They are healthy, happy, going to school. I am giving them what you and Victor could not give them, stability. I do not write this to hurt you, but so you know that while you work on rebuilding your life, I am working on rebuilding theirs. Maybe someday we can talk. Maybe someday I can look at you without feeling this crack in my chest. But that day is not today. Keep paying your debt. Keep working on yourself. And when the 12 months we agreed on have passed, we will see what is possible. Elijah. I did not sign her, Dad. I still could not. The months kept passing. The boys grew. Ashton turned 12, and we celebrated at home with cake and his friends. Corey lost his first tooth, and we kept it in a special box. I resumed my construction consulting. I started accepting small jobs, estimates, project alterations, site management. The boys helped me check blueprints. Corey turned out to have a good eye for spatial design. One afternoon, while I reviewed a foundation plan, Ashton sat next to me. Grandpa, do you think Mom can come back to live with us someday? I stopped writing. I do not know, my love. Many things would have to change. Like what? Like me being able to trust her again. And that takes a lot of time. But is it possible? I looked at that 2-year-old boy who observed me with hopeful eyes. In life, Ashton, almost everything is possible. But some things require more than desire. They require work, honesty, and time. How much time? Whatever is necessary. He nodded and went back to his homework. Finally, the day arrived. 11 months after everything, 1 week from completing the year I imposed as a condition, Arthur called me. Mr. Jackson, Stephanie has finished paying her debt, the $45,000 plus restitution, all covered. A knot formed in my throat. She worked double shifts for months. She sold her car. She sold everything that had value. But she achieved it. And now what? Now it depends on you. Do you want to see her? Did you write them a week ago? They want to see her. Of course they wanted to. She was their mother. Tell her to come on Sunday at 3. 0 inches the afternoon to my house. Are you sure? No. But I am going to do it anyway. Sunday arrived with a suffocating July heat. I prepared iced tea and put cookies on a plate. Ashton and Corey were nervous, excited. They changed clothes 3 times. At 3 sharp, the doorbell rang. The boys ran to open. I stayed in the living room, standing by the window. I heard their voices, the screams of joy of the boys, the contained sobbing of Stephanie. Mom! Mom, we missed you so much. Me too, my loves. Me too. They entered the living room. Stephanie carried Corey in one arm and held Ashton's hand with the other. She had become thin, haggarded. She had gray hairs she did not have before, new wrinkles around her eyes. The 11 months had not been easy for her either. We looked at each other in silence. The boys took her to the sofa, speaking hurriedly, telling her everything at once. I sat in my brown velvet armchair, the same armchair where I cried a year ago, the same one from where I saw my world crumble. After 20 minutes of joyful chaos, Ashton and Corey realized the tension. "Grandpa, can I show Mom my room?" Of course. Both went up with her. I heard them walking on the second floor, muffled voices, laughter. I stayed alone in the living room, holding my coffee cup with trembling hands. Half an hour later, Stephanie came down alone. I told him to play for a while. "We need to talk." "Yes." She sat on the sofa, keeping a respectful distance. "First, thank you. Thank you for receiving me. Thank you for taking care of my sons. Thank you for not erasing me completely from their lives." I did not respond. "I know I said all this in the letter, but I need to tell you in person. Dad, I committed the worst mistake a daughter can commit. I betrayed you, I hurt you, and the worst is that I did it consciously." Her voice broke. "I have no excuses. The debts, Victor, the desperation, none of that justifies what I did. And I have spent every day of these 11 months facing that truth." "And what truth is that?" I asked with a cold voice. "That I became the type of woman my mother would have despised. That I failed not only as a daughter but as a human being." Silence. "What do you want from me, Stephanie?" "I want nothing." "Well, that is a lie. I want everything. I want your forgiveness. I want to regain your trust. I want to be your daughter again." She wiped her tears. "But I know I have no right to ask for that. So, I only ask you one thing. Allow me to be in Ashton and Corey's life. I do not need to live here. I do not need to see you every week. I just need them to know they have a mother who, although she committed horrible mistakes, is trying to be better." I looked at her for a long time. This woman in front of me was different from the one I saw a year ago. More humble, more broken, but maybe more real. "You can see the boys," I said finally. "Once a week on Sundays here in my house under my supervision. It is okay. Whatever you say, and you are going to go to therapy with you and with them. Family therapy." I already started looking for options, and not a single lie more, Stephanie. Not one. Because if you lie to me again, if you betray my trust again, it will be the last time you see me. I promise. I swear by my mother's memory. I got up from the armchair, and one more thing. "What? Do not expect me to call you my daughter yet. Do not expect hugs. Do not expect us to act like a normal father and daughter, because we are not. Not anymore. And maybe we will never be again." She nodded with tears rolling down her cheeks. "I understand." But I continued, and I saw how she raised her gaze with hope. "But if you work, if you are consistent, if you demonstrate with actions, and not only with words that you changed, maybe someday I can look at you without feeling this crack in my chest. It is all I can ask for." I let her stay 2 hours. She played with the boys. She helped them with their homework. She made them laugh. And for a moment, just a glimmer, I could see the daughter she was once. When she left, Ashton hugged me. "Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you for letting her come. You are welcome, my love." "Are you going to forgive her?" "Eventually. But forgiveness is like a plant. You have to water it with patience and time." That night, after putting the boys to bed, I sat in my brown velvet armchair. I took out the locket with Erica's photo. "My love," I whispered, "I do not know if I am doing the right thing. I do not know if giving her another chance is wisdom or weakness, but I need to try for the boys, for the memory of who she was once, and maybe, just maybe, for me too." I closed my eyes, and for the first time in a year I felt something resembling peace. It was not happiness. It was not forgetting. It was simply the possibility that the pain was not permanent. That wounds, although deep, could heal. That family, although broken, could be rebuilt. Different, more fragile, more conscious, but possible. I got up from the armchair and walked to the window. Outside, the city shone with millions of lights, and I thought about all the men like me, betrayed fathers, grandfathers raising grandchildren, widowers who keep going, warriors who fight silent battles in the privacy of their homes. I thought about how many of them were in this moment deciding between revenge and forgiveness, between closing doors forever or leaving them ajar. and I knew there was no right answer. There was only the answer that allows you to sleep at night. For me, that answer was giving a chance. Only one with conditions, with limits, with protection, but a chance in the end. Because at the end of the day, I learned that true wealth is not in the 2 million I almost lost. It is in having the strength to defend what is yours. It is in getting up after every betrayal. It is in raising grandsons at 67 when you thought you had already finished raising. It is in looking your daughter in the eyes and saying, "You hurt me, but you did not destroy me." And above all, it is in knowing that your dignity was never up for negotiation, that no one can take from you unless you allow it. Epilogue and final reflection. 2 more years passed. Stephanie kept every promise. Every Sunday at 3 sharp, family therapy every 15 days, honest work, total transparency. Slowly, very slowly, the crack began to close. It did not disappear. Scars never disappear completely. But it stopped hurting every time I saw her. One Sunday, while I prepared dinner, I realized I had smiled when I heard her voice greeting the boys. It was a small moment, insignificant for anyone. But for me, it was everything, because it meant I was healing. And if I could heal, anyone could. Ashton is now 14 years old. He wants to study law like his mom, but to defend people, not to scam them, he says with that brutal honesty of teenagers. Corey is 12 and he discovered he loves to build. He helps me in the office. He says when he grows up, he wants to have his own development brand. Stephanie opened a small legal advice office for seniors. She helps people like me protect their assets. She works practically for free. She says it is her way of repairing, even minimally, the damage she caused. Victor will get out of prison in 5 years. The boys go to visit him once a month. I never accompany them. There are limits I do not cross. And I am still here in my house, uptown consulting, raising, living. Sometimes they ask me, "Did you forgive her completely?" And the honest answer is enough. I forgave her enough so the boys have a present mother. Enough so family gatherings are not battlefields. Enough to sleep peacefully at night, but not enough to forget. And maybe that is the biggest lesson I learned. Forgiving does not mean forgetting. It means letting go of the need for revenge without letting go of the memory of what happened. Because that memory is what protects you. It is what keeps you alert. It is what reminds you that dignity is defended always. If my story reached your heart, if something resonated with you, leave me your comment. Tell me where you are listening from. Share if you ever had to choose between forgiveness and justice. Like if you believe fathers deserve respect, and subscribe to keep listening to real-life stories of real men who faced impossible battles and came out ahead, because in the end, that is the only truth that matters. Dignity is not inherited. It is defended. And once you learn to defend it, no one, absolutely no one, can take it away from you. Not even your own daughter. The end.